Howdy, Beeflowbart here, and welcome. Alright, we've got another official challenge going on to go along with the Fright Night challenge, which we've still got a few people working on maps for that, and that's awesome. But I'm throwing in another one. This is a big-time challenge that doesn't require any special assets, doesn't require anything out of the ordinary. It just requires using BSP geometries. And what I am looking for is a cruise ship, the interior portion of a cruise ship. So now this is just a quick put together here. I still have to finish the wall textures and materials. This is the carpet material that I put together. You don't have to worry about materials, you don't have to worry about textures, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Just putting together BSP geometries to form the ship itself. So look here, these are temporary stairs. I'm going to have to remake these, and it's because there's some issues right there, issues with alignment, so forth. But the whole point is to create a ship, and one particular ship in mind is the Carnival Cruise Line's Fascination. And I have, and I've already linked into the public lobby, and I can link again, the images that you can get available free online. This is the floor plan for what I'm working on right now, which is the Riviera deck. And I don't need the room interiors. Don't have to worry about any of that. They will be separate. All I would need is for excuse me, to get started with is lay out the floor plans of each one of them. You know, so far I've done from this section here to right here, not including this center section and the bow section. And I'll show you some tricks on how to properly set up BSP geometries so that they will look right and work right. And this particular ship here, you can see has what shows total of 14 decks, but not everything is going to be as tricky and challenging. Like this is the sports deck. All it is just this area right here and the entrance to the slide. I'm not necessarily worried about the slides just yet. And the fitness center. This would need a regular interior, sections of walls and that kind of stuff. But again, you know, like this is a sun deck, really, really small. The upper deck, which is one of the lower ones, I don't know why it's called upper, but basically the same kind of layout as the other ones. The room sizes are approximate, and I'll show you what I mean by that. And that's the veranda, Atlantic. So it shouldn't be that difficult in general. I'm going to be doing it as well, and we'll be offering tips and so forth on it as things go. So the whole thing that you need to work on for this challenge is creating a scale version of the interior of those decks. So you can see, if you want the materials, I can package them up separately and make them available. The stairs, to keep it simple, there's two of them, one left, one right, and they can be set as separate static meshes. When the floors are done, each floor would be a separate static mesh, and I'll run through really quickly on how to do those correctly as well, so that you get good lighting and whatnot. So you don't have to worry about characters, you don't have to worry about assets, no asset packs to deal with. Won't cost anything to get set up and run towards this. And the winning map will actually get featured in a release project that'll be going out on Steam in October. So it's kind of a rush on this one. So the deadline on that, again, is going to be, if you look at the month of October, the release date is set for October 24th, so we need to get the winning entries in by the 10th. It's a lot of time, but doesn't seem like a lot of time. So what I'll do is I'll actually go to I've got a test map that I'm working on. Go to maps and just test map. Actually, I'll create a new one. It's playing around with setting up a lighting fixture. So go to a new map, new level, default, and to set up BSP geometries, some things to remember when you're making the BSP geometries, and then if you want to convert them into a static mesh, some things that you're going to need to remember to do in order for them to be correct. When you create a new map like this, each of these tiles is going to be 100 by 100, and the individual little small tiles here inside of them are 10 by 10. So you can help use those as a measuring device. As an example, the measurements that I took were directly from this information here, and trying to guesstimate the appropriate length. Length is 855 in feet, so trying to figure out the distance from here to here, discounting the fact that that measurement of 855 goes from here to here. So trying to estimate that length and then converting it from feet into centimeters, and that's the measurement you're going to end up using, is centimeters. That will closely go along with the Unreal units, close enough. But then again, also you want to make sure that you get in there and test it out and see how it feels, because you think if this is 100 centimeters, you know, a typical doorway would be about 120 to 130 centimeters for the Unreal character, or Unreal units, that is, for the character to be able to smoothly go through. And the average height, if you bring in a BSP geometry of a cube, it defaults to 200 by 200, which is the approximate, you know, it's a little bit taller, but as you can see, it's 2 big tiles by 2 big tiles. So instead of trying to use these transform tools, when you're editing a BSP geometry, make sure you select it from here, go to your details panel. Don't use these transform tools here. This one right here, forget that button even exists. Make your measurements, so if you want to make it 300 tall, which is currently what I'm using for the wall height. And remember, to make it easier, zero out your floor in your test map. So whenever you actually do this, you can set this to 150, which is going to give you your correct height for being on the floor. So making adjustments to that. I'm going to do a couple things to this BSP geometry, and then, even though I'm not going to use it for anything, but just for the demonstration, and then I'm going to go ahead and save it as a static mesh. This is actually normal additive, and if you want to, let's just, as an example, I'm going to grab a sphere. If you're doing a sphere and you want more sides to make it look more accurate, the tessellation, you can increase that and increase the number of sides of it. Spheres tend to be a pain in the butt, but if you want to change the outside radius of it, it's, well, radius. And let's do it at 150, and I'm just going to drag it over here, and just going to set it up on this. So I can then go ahead and change that to subtractive. Now if I look at this, it actually chops out that hole. Now that's one way you can modify them, is doing additive and subtractive in combinations to chop out sections so that it looks like what you want. Another thing you can actually do is go into your geometry editing. This will be handy when you're creating the triangular shape of the bow of the ship. So you can actually come in here, click on geometry editing. You can grab this right here, and if you want to, you can select one side, you can extrude it and make it taller. So you check the extrude box, and don't worry about the error. So now I can actually take that and extrude that even higher and add another segment to it. So there I've created a new section to it. Or I can also come in here and grab these 2 points, or 1 point individual, and I can now do that and make all kind of changes to my my geometry of it. Let's grab these 2, and I'm just doing that. And then let's grab these 2 again, and use a scale, and I can, oh, nope, it won't let me do a scale. So I'll do this one, I'll drag it in here, I'll grab this one and drag it in there. So you can make all kind of weird shapes, do whatever you want with it, get whatever transforms that are necessary for making it the way you want. I'll grab that one and this one. I'm just goofing around with it here. Then what if I wanted to do this? I can grab that face, go back to extrude again, and extrude this face out. You can make all kind of funky shapes however you want. Grab these 2 points, bring it down. I'm not trying to make anything in particular. So now that we've done that, we still only have 2 geometries to work with. So I'm going to grab both of those, and now before you convert it to a static mesh, you're going to want to put materials on there, and I've only got a couple materials that are in here. So I'm going to select the side of this one, and I'm going to go ahead and open, no, sorry, let's see if I can find the option here. Yeah, come down here to line brush. Let's see here. I'll grab one of them. I've got a bunch of things open right now, that's why it's more in here. No materials selected. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just apply a material to it, and so just select the face there, come down to where you find the material, and if you don't see it, no materials yet, so I can grab it and just drag that on there, and that usually works. Well, I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I don't want to delete the whole face though. So I still got my brush here. I'm going to go ahead and another thing to remember is when you're creating a BSP geometry, and that's why I didn't have it in that mode there, if you don't have a material selected and you drag in a geometry, it is going to be empty like that. However, if you select a material and then drag it in, it will have that material applied to all sides. So I'm actually going to go ahead and grab my sphere. I'm going to change the radius to 100 and just going to put it on here just so it does its thing. Occasionally that'll happen where it doesn't go into the mesh itself, and I'm going to leave that mesh selected. I'm going to drag in another sphere, and I'm going to tell it to be subtractive, and I'm going to turn up the tessellation to 3, set the radius to 100, and just stick it on there so it does something. By putting, even though it's going to be subtractive, and by putting the material on there now, whenever it chops out a section, it'll have that material applied to the area that's chopped out. So you don't actually have to go in there separately and change that. If you wanted that to be different on the inside, you could always just change the brush type, but I'm not worried about that right now. This wasn't supposed to be a whole big video on BSP geometries. It was just to quickly showcase how you can modify these things so that you can actually make the shapes that you need. Now you see it did not apply the materials to the new sections. So to get those on there, it still says no materials, but I'm in this mode. We go back to here, select it now, and I can go ahead and apply that material, or I can hit select and select all adjacent surfaces, display the 2 materials that I have, and select that. So now it reduces it back down to 1. See how the material doesn't line up there? Click on that face, hit rotate 90 degrees, so you can get your materials to line up. Same thing on this side. You can scale them as you need to, do all kind of fun stuff with them. So the next point is to convert them to a static mesh. No, I didn't want to do that. I am selecting those two, and I'm just going to go ahead and drag that down, just so I have a unique static mesh. So now what I want to do is I want to select that brush and the other one. So I want to left click on one and control left click on the other, so that I have both of them selected. And what I'll do is go ahead and create static mesh. It's under the brush settings, and I'm just going to put this in the root of my asset folder because I'm going to delete it in a minute. Give it a name, whatever, and create static mesh. So now when I go in here, this is the static mesh. I'm going to go ahead and delete it, and now I can actually drag that static mesh in whenever I want and wherever I want. But what's going to happen here is I'm going to go ahead and do a build, and whenever you do a build, the material that's applied to the BSP geometry that you turn into a static mesh is going to look like that. It's going to be really, 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 really dark, and you can't see anything. So just go in here, open up your static mesh, scroll down to your general settings, light map resolution, change that to the normal default of 64, and light map coordinate index, change that to a 1. Hit save, exit, and there it is. So if I do another lighting build, it's going to keep the material the way that I had it pre-selected. There you go. So finish doing your lighting build. Are you done now? Are you done now? Thank you. So you can see that fixed the texture. Nice, quick, and easy. You can do so much with that. So I'm going to go back to my regular editing mode there. So that's how you need to do your BSP geometries. And remember, the biggest and most important factor here is do not, and I'm going to go ahead and delete that one. Go back to my materials. I'm going to select that ugly carpet and create that. And then I'm going to go ahead and create another one without, I guess I could have left the other one in here, without the material. So if you're going to edit your BSP geometries, do not use this right here. Because what's going to happen is if you use this and you make this taller, see what it did to the material? It stretches and skews the material. So now if I come back over to this one and I select a face, apply the material that I want, I select all adjacent surfaces and click on display two materials, put it on there. So now if I stretch this one, what I wanted with this one was to make it 2 times bigger. So let's look in here. It's 1 by 1 by 2. So I've made it 2 times bigger than the other one on height, just to show you the skewing effect there. So if you want that to actually be that size, select your box, change it in here in these measurements. Set to 200, let's make it 400. And then I'll just move it back up to match the floor like the other one. We made exactly the same thing, but look at the difference in the materials. This one, the material is normal on all sides. This one, the height of the material is stretched. You can fix that, but select all adjacent materials, but you don't need the top one. So you're going to end up having to go back in here on each individual face, or control left click on each face that you want to fix. It takes a lot of extra time. Instead of doing it correct the first time, you now have to come back over here and change your scale. Vertical scale needs to go back to 1 and then apply, and that will fix it. But it was a whole lot easier if you know what your measurements are going to be, to just go ahead and grab it, drag it in, and select your Z height of 400. Set your actual height of, you look at this one, the actual height was 200. So since we're on 0 plane, we can use half of the Z height would give us the actual height. So that one should be 200. This one should be 200. That way your materials look right every single solitary time whenever you do it, top and bottom. So in the questiones before I drop out of this video, this was all about the challenge, but I just wanted to showcase a few things on setting up your BSP geometries and converting them to static meshes. So again, if I just want to grab this box brush right here and I want to convert that one, or if I wanted to come in here and just heck with it, I'll grab another box geometry and I will make it. If you need your coordinates of which way to do these, if you look right here on the left hand corner, my X is going to go this way, my Y is going to go that way, and Z is going to go straight up and down. So I can actually take my Y now and change that to 800, and let's go ahead and make 100 and 100 on my Z. And then just for giggles, I'm going to bring this up here. I'm going to go ahead and turn it to be subtractive, drag it in here. It's good if you want to cut a door frame, and let's go ahead and just slide it over. And let's go ahead and make sure I'm zeroed on these. 0, 0. And we'll do this one at 0 to 50. This one at 0, negative 250. And then we'll grab our subtractive one and move it in place. And actually, I can zero that one. And what the heck, I'll grab this. Well, you cannot join a static mesh and a BSP geometry together. You can combine two static meshes together, but you can't combine the two. So if I want to now make this into a single mesh, then all I have to do is grab all 4 of those again and scroll down, create static mesh, and tell it what folder you want. Weird box, and then create static mesh, go into the location where your weird static mesh is, wherever the hell I saved it to. Okay, weird box. Open up your static mesh, scroll down to your general settings, change that, which defaults to 4. The normal is going to be 64, 32, 64, 96, variables of 32. So light map resolution 64, light map coordinate index 1, hit save, and now when you do your lighting build, your materials should be saved correctly on there. Alright, that. So now I can actually drag this around as a single, and I can drag another one in here, and let's set its height to, let's see, 200. It's going to bring it the same size. Now I can rotate it, I can do whatever I want, use it like a normal BSP geometry or normal static mesh. That works for anything. That works for stairs. So if you're trying to create a, get rid of you, a set of stairs that you can replicate, see, that doesn't have the material on there. So if you want the material to be on it, select your material ahead of time and then drag your stairs in, and they have that. And let's go ahead and Control C, Control V. I'm going to make a copy of it. I'm going to drag it over. So I'm going to make some floating stairs. You want your stairs to line up perfectly with this, and then take away 1. If you had 10, now do 9. Change that to subtractive, and now you've got floating stairs. Lovely. And now grab both of your stair brushes, create static mesh, Put it in my asset folder and call it float stairs. Create static mesh. Go into it. Another thing you have to remember, there's no collision on it. So you either need to make your own custom collision, or you can use general settings 64 and 1, and short term until you can create your own custom, which I'll get into that in another video, custom collisions. Use complex collision as simple, save, and now you got your floating stairs. I can delete it, I can add it into the map, and when I hit play, I can now walk on them. They work just fine. When I do my lighting build, good to go. Come on, build my lighting, you schmuck. Nice and easy. So I'm actually not even going to do anything with this map, but go back to the idea of the Fascination map. That's the name of the ship, is the Carnival Fascination. Hit play, and the whole point of this is to make each floor individually, and then whenever you've got this floor completed, then you want to make your stairs separately so that you can use them quite a bit. I've made them separate from each other, so I have a left and a right, and then I also can just drag them and drop them into the scene, like right there, right here, and whenever I go to the next deck above it, I can actually do the same thing and Control C, Control V, and then actually raise it up. Now I'm going to do mine a little bit differently. I don't like the way that these stairs came out, so I'm going to redo my stairs. So now whenever you come in here, and I'm going to right click, play from here, so when you're in the map, you can see I'm not going to be able to continue up the stairs. So I'm blocked there. So whenever I stack the floors, I'm not going to be able to do what I need to do. You see that's actually hollow. So I will redo my stairs. They looked good when I was making them, and then, yeah, I just don't like the way they work. I'm going to make it so that, yes, there is, in the real thing, there is that big of a space. And so you can get an idea of the size of how I'm doing things. The distance between the hallway width is 300. It is 300 high. Remind me in Discord, and I'll remind you again. The interior rooms that I'm using, interior individual room, the length of each room was, so if you look from here to here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 800 by 400 is the actual room size. So this would be one room right here, 800 by 400. The outside, these rooms along here are actually going to be 900 by 400. So those are my dimensions that I use, and then I use a calculator to figure out, okay, if each room is that long, and I have, oh, wrong deck, like in this image right here, as I'm building each section, I can see that if I'm going to make this block right here, I have stairs here, here, and here, and dead space here, dead space back there, which I think those are balconies. But if I know that these rooms are 400 wide, then I can actually make a measurement from here, 1, 2, 3, and then I know that I can start this, and actually it would be 2.2 to this wall. You'd have a dead space, and these rooms are actually smaller in dimension, but we're going to keep them all the same size. So you know that that's 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2 and a half. So that would be 400, 800. That would be roughly 1,000 to this point where this needs to go. So the distance from this wall to here will be 1,000. These rooms are going to be 800. So you know that that's 800. That's 200. That measurement's not going to work out. The hallways need to be 300. But if you notice on this deck plan, that distance is wrong. That's only 200. So this could be 200 as well. This could be 200, and then the rest of the hallway become 300. The gap here between the stairs and this section is a standard hallway of 300. Doesn't look like it, but those are your basic measurements for setting up your rooms. So you know that if you're going to go from here to here, then you can count the number of rooms this way and get to this point here, and then multiply the number of rooms times 400, and there you go. I will cover more of this as we go. So when you're laying out your deck, you can count the number of rooms. All these rooms here are going to be 400 wide. When you get into the other rooms, you're going to have to kind of make it up as you go along to figure it out. But there are some premium rooms. Where are they? So like on this level right here, these rooms are actually larger. So if these are 400 wide, then these are almost double the width. So they would be probably 700 wide, we'll say. So you'll have to take that into account for your measurements for this section, and then these rooms are back to the 400 wide. And actually some of them could actually be 300 wide. It's up to you guys to figure it out on your own that way. I'm using the rule of thumb of, for this deck, the rooms are 400 wide. And if you think about it and look at it, I don't have the measurements down here. I just want to put some materials down for looking at it. 400 wide is going to be 4 of these big squares. So that would be from here to here. And that's actually the width of the rooms, because the bed's going to be about 2.2 meters long. So yeah, you can use these blocks on your BSP geometries. If you don't screw them up and do them the wrong way, if you do them the right way, these blocks are always going to be 100 by 100, and you can use them for measurements for laying things out on your floors. So you can tell that this is going to be a perfect 300 because it's 3 blocks wide. The other little thing you can do is create yourself a tool. This is a 300 by 300 by 300 cube. And now, if I want to verify that my hallway is correct, I can use my spacer tool, slide it in here, and I can see that I'm exactly 300 wide. I can drag it over here, make sure this hallway is exactly 300 wide, and just line it up. So making measurement tools that you can just drop into your scene and move around, if you've already applied materials, comes in quite handy. So if there are no more questions, let me know on Discord if you have any questions about it. I'll do another in-depth video tonight, and we'll cover more of it. But let's go ahead and save all. And I am going to close this back down. And I can close that down. I'm done working with my materials. And yes, I did create a material for that. I have the materials. I'm working on the material for the interior of the rooms. I have the site plan or side plan to show where each level is and which deck goes where. And on here, there's also a PDF file you can get from their website that'll show you that information. But I've created this right here as a RAR file and linked it on the Discord channel. So you go in here, if you know that the bottom deck on here is the Riviera deck, then you can actually go to Riviera. And now this is not a very good resolution. If you go to their website and get the PDF of the deck plan, you can scale it up as large as you want and then screen capture it and chop it out, do whatever you want to make it easier for yourself. I would say also come up with a uniform size. You don't have to worry about the elevator interiors, not necessary. The only things you're going to need is, you don't have to make the individual rooms. You just need to make that hallway go all the way down, 300 wide all the way down. and have a basic measurement that you can use for your rooms. And again, I'm using 900 for the length and 400 for the width of the outside wall rooms. The inside rooms or interior rooms are 800 by 400. There are some smaller rooms on other decks. Like these right here. These rooms would actually be maybe 300. Also on their website, they have besides the deck plans, the room plans. So if you want to look to see how the rooms are actually laid out, a balcony room would look like this. Big, gigantic, king-size bed. Thing to remember, these beds on these cruise ships, it looks like a king-size bed, but it's actually two large twins that are pushed side by side. That's something you can remember. So if you're trying to make a mattress to fill for one each of these rooms, then you don't have to create, I mean, you'll probably end up having to create them anyway, but you can create your single bed and then duplicate that side by side and go from there. The showers are pretty much universal in size. The beds are either going to be a double like this or two singles. So if you look, an interior room with two beds is the same bed, it's just pushed apart. So any questions, if you've not been on a Carnival cruise and don't know the dimensions of the rooms, then let me know. We'll work it through and get a universal size. The room interiors, the reason why you don't have to do the room interiors on the entire ship is because of using a simple teleportation and being able to go to each individual room separately. So if you've got a interior room like this, you only have to make one of those instead of 150 of them for one floor. All you're going to have to do is know where the door is, which is right here, and you'll have a teleporter here at this door that you can activate by using the E key, we'll say, or F key or whatever. And then when you're in the hallway, you don't physically have to make all those individual rooms because the all you're going to need is a door and door frame that you can put there that does not actually function. There will be a teleporter that will work for every one of the rooms that are the same. If they're all a certain type of room, the one like this right here with a balcony, or these without the balcony, this room and this room are different, but these rooms here and these rooms are different. But instead of having to have all these rooms separate, you just go to this door or you can go to this door, it doesn't matter, and it's a teleporter. It teleports you into one generic room, and there you go. If I'm not explaining it good enough, let me know in Discord and I will make sure all that's there. So again, that's the challenge, and the date needed by no later than, I would say, the 10th of October. So that gives you a little bit of time to work on it, but the sooner the better. You got a couple weeks. Anybody can use that same basic rule for setting up BSP geometries and be able to come up with something within that time. The winning version of the map, whether it's mine or somebody else's, will be featured in the game, and if it's somebody else's map besides my own, then I'll come up with a prize for them. First off, for sure, you'll get a copy of the Simple Multiplayer Steam template, the latest version, and we'll come up with some other kind of prize too. So I'll see if I can get one of my my contributors to pitch in something. So thanks for watching, guys. It'll be on Discord if you have any questions about this challenge. But this is the cruise ship challenge. Need the interior portions of the cruise ship. Don't necessarily need the outside, because only the outside decks where you're walking around on the deck, you're not going to see the outside of the ship. You're always going to be in the ship. And we'll use blocking volumes to keep people from falling out. Again, all I need is BSP geometries, no materials, no textures, no asset packs, nothing. just a blank BSP geometry of the map. You can create a simple texture. If you don't know how to create a simple texture, hell, just go into GIMP, which is free. File, new, and you'll have a little window that pops up. Make it 1000 by 1000. Click OK. Pick a color. Make a lovely color blue. And I'm going to grab the paint bucket, and there you go. And Control-Shift-E. Save it as a PNG file. Give it a name, give it a location, and there you've got a quick and easy, cheap, generic that you can pop onto anything on that BSP geometry so that it at least has some kind of color. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I want to see some maps, guys. Come on. And if you are the winner, we'll try to get you a good prize. Something. We'll figure it out. Alright guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you.